Hey, Luminary. I hope that you are ready for this most powerful Scorpio moon happening on Moon Day, November 13th. This is absolutely the new moon that you want to create a clear intention if you are ready to disrupt old patterns that keep you in place instead of in your power. Welcome to Star Powered Astrology for Changemakers. I'm Leslie Tagorda, your guide, a Hawaii born Filipino Jewish astrologer who loves navigating visionaries like you through the spiritual journey of your work so that you can be inspired to lead by your chart and become the luminary leader you were born to be. Hey, Luminary. Okay, we're back with an episode on the Scorpio New Moon. And if you've been feeling all of the feels, things feel like everything is going too fast, everything is happening all at once. Which way are we going, up or down or up and down? Well, this new moon has so much energy and so much activation, but it is also an amazing time to find that stillness within yourself, to create that inner trust so that you can make that change that you want instead of feeling victim to the massive shakeups that are on its way. So this is a prime time of year. Right, we have especially in the northern hemisphere, where the sun, the light is going into more darkness, where we're supposed to be kind of calming down, although the energies are very, very active right now. This is the time where we're reflecting on all the things that have transpired over the last 11 months of the beginning of the year, and maybe to what we want to start creating in 2024, looking at ahead. We're at such a liminal time, which is the reason why it's extra important to spend some time of understanding what you truly want, understanding what you want to do with your own power, how to trust your power, how to trust yourself, and how to tap into that inner knowing. All of those very scorpionic themes. And so, before I talk about the new moon, I want to invite you to my free masterclass, Illuminate. And Illuminate is happening at just such a wonderful time in this kind of new moon Scorpio energy. Because if this new moon in Scorpio really wants you to tap into your inner knowing and authentic power, well, Illuminate, my masterclass, is going to show you how to connect the dots between your big three, your sun, your moon, and your rising in your change making work. Now, this Illuminate is like my OG masterclass. It's my masterclass that I first gave back in 2019 when I really put together my framework of astrology for leadership and making your mark. And I've fine tuned it and adjusted it so that by the time you end Illuminate, you're going to know exactly where, in terms of your zone of genius, you need to start to amplify and radiate more. You're going to know what parts of your business and your inner self that you need to nourish so that you can start to take really conscious, mindful risks in your business. And then you're also going to know how to initiate and spark action through your authentic leadership in your work. We're going to do some really integrative exercises in this masterclass. We're going to be working on it together. All you'll need to know is your sun, your moon, and your rising, and it's going to blow your mind. Even if you've taken this class before, which is pretty likely because over 1,700 people have registered for this masterclass throughout the years, you will pick up something else because you know why? You have changed. If anything that has taught me about this particular Scorpio new moon, after giving like 17 readings for the people that I deliver new moon readings to, is that this new moon is showing us all the ups and downs, all the trials and tribulations that we've intentionally worked through this challenging year is coming full circle. And now say, okay, you're at this next level of power, you've leveled up. What is that next level that you want to take for the next year? So this masterclass is perfect timing with this phase of Scorpio inner knowing authentic power. So if you're interested in joining me for my free masterclass, Illuminate, head on over to starpowered.com/illuminate. The masterclass is absolutely free and it happens on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And the masterclass is happening at the tail end of our new moon phase. So if you wanted to set a new intention around how you want to light up your luminary leadership for 2024, this is the class that you want to take. Of course, at the end of the class, I will be offering some free mini readings. You'll have to show up live to be able to qualify for that. And then I will be sharing all of the things that are coming up in 2024. So if you've been waiting for the doors to open to Star Powered Circle again, and my Astrobound certification and my Luminary on Call offers, this is your chance to hear all about it. All right, so head on over to starpowered.com/illuminate. If you can't make it live, don't worry, there will be a replay. Okay, let's get into the Scorpio new moon. So I've been calling this Scorpio new moon activating trust in your inner power. Now, I often talk about trust when I talk about Scorpio because I feel like Scorpio as well as Gemini are those signs that are always misunderstood. Okay, they get so much judgment, they get so much, all these things, and Scorpio is really raw, authentic power. But to be able to handle that much power is to be able to trust yourself, to have that deep inner knowing that you are powerful enough to handle all that power. That's what authentic power is. Now, Scorpio, right? We can think of like the judgments that we have on Scorpio. It's like, oh, they're, so secretive, so manipulative, so always trying to like grab onto power and hide everything. And there's so much envy and resentment. Yes, Scorpio absolutely can go deep into that muck of those shadows. And one of the reasons why Scorpio can just get so deep into that those maladaptive behaviors like secrets and power over and manipulation is because there isn't trust of self, or there isn't trust of others. Now, trust of others only comes with trust of selves. If we've been through deceit or betrayal, it is absolutely hard to be able to trust yourself, to trust others. But if we have been people who've experienced deceit or betrayal, and I think almost everybody in the world has at one point, if you've learned your lesson correctly about deceit or betrayal, you've learned where maybe you've given your power away or you hadn't listened to your own spidey sense. There's always a lesson there that if you are a true wounded leader, you're not falling victim and blaming everybody else for that betrayal, even though they're clearly, oftentimes there was somebody that has done harm, but you're also taking responsibility for how you're going to turn those into lessons and learn how to rebuild trust in yourself and trust in people again. Now, talking about those shadows of Scorpio, on the bright side of Scorpio, that fixed water energy is that energy of deep emotional knowing. All those fixed signs, Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius, they have the gift of knowing. You're not going to change their minds unless they change their minds themselves first and then go ahead and change, because you know what? They already know. And for Scorpio, it's a deep emotional knowing. And so for a lot of people, we all have Scorpio in our chart somewhere, okay? And wherever Scorpio is in our chart is where we need to bring up more of that deep emotional knowing, that deep connection to our intuitive or psychic or metaphysical senses, to our ability to go deep, to excavate and unearth all of those places that we want to hide, that oftentimes, so Scorpio is one of those energies that has the ability to hold deep space and be trauma informed, to be able to go down into the deep, look at all the places that we've been, festering and pushing down and hiding, and where they've gotten all kind of toxic and gooky, but then now we're bringing them back up so that we can eliminate it, so we can extract it, so we can pull it out so it no longer has that toxic hold over us. And so Scorpio is just that one power that is not afraid to get into the dirt, into the muck, to do that deep excavation that lets everything now run freely. And of course, Scorpio is that ability to regenerate, to die and then be reborn over and over and over again, and to be able to go into that unknown of that regenerative process, that empowerment process, that transformative process, that transmutable process takes deep, deep trust. And so trust to me is like that key word of Scorpio that shows us our authentic power, to have just such deep trust in ourselves, knowing that we're making the right decisions. And even if we make a mistake, that we can bounce back with so many lessons from that. There's no such thing as a mistake, that we just needed to pick up a skill or a learning lesson before we went on to our new way. And so for all of us, in a nutshell, we are planting the seeds of deep trust based on, if you look past this last 11 months of everything that you have gone through, I know that, like all of my clients and myself, we've gone through some massive, massive things this year, coming face to face with some of our deepest demons and limiting beliefs, and wanting to hide, wanting to not show up, hiding behind busyness, all of these things. And we're coming out the other end because we're getting ready for next year. Next year, I've already been preparing for next year. There's a panel that's coming up on December 1st. I'll share more about that later, but we've been discussing all of the big themes and the stories that are unfolding next year. And next year is really about, just to me and my perspective, just this collective leadership. And what does it mean to be part of that collective leadership? Means to me that we're sharing power, that we're knowing exactly what we are really good at, and we're bringing it into the collective so that we can lead as a unit, as a whole, instead of just there being like one person who's like directing all of the moves. It's like, no, we're done. We're dismantling that old way of being, and we're coming back to this more beautiful collective leadership. And so I know you can feel that. And to get ready to participate in that collective leadership, no matter where on the path of getting ready to participate in that, means that you have to up level your inner power and your inner trust. Whew. Okay. So this new moon, there's so much astrology that is just connected to this moon. But I'm going to share my screen for those of you that are watching on YouTube. In a nutshell, this new moon is asking you, what don't you trust in yourself yet in order to make change? Okay, let me say that again. What don't you yet trust in yourself to be able to make change? And when you're able to answer that question, you're going to be able to figure out the seeds of intention you are going to plant this new moon. Because what you want to plant in terms of intention around self trust, inner knowing, intuitive connection, and authentic power is going to allow you to break through, to liberate and disrupt those old patterns that keep you in place instead of in your power. And of course, wherever you have Scorpio of 20 degrees, whatever house contains that point is the house that's being activated, where you're being asked to claim your power so that you can break through all those old patterns that keep you in place. Okay. in a nutshell. So let's take a look at the astrology, because this astrology is absolutely fascinating. Now, I mentioned earlier that every month in my for my luminary clients, these are my executives who hire me for advisory and mentorship throughout the entire year. Each month they get a personalized new moon mini reading from me, and I go through close through 20 new moon mini readings right before the new moon, and I like to get them done before this podcast recording, simply because when I read those mini charts, there are themes and there are patterns that start to emerge. That, like when I write those, when April and I start writing those star casts, a year ahead or a month ahead or 2 months ahead, I haven't yet had that chance to go through all of those readings and these new themes that present themselves. And so this new moon, oh my goodness, after reading up to 20 new moons, again, I'm just seeing this. I want to say, like, just like really note all of the trials and tribulations that you have endured this year. So, for example, just on a personal note, I've shared that my mom passed away in January, and this has been a really heavy lift year where I've been overworking, overdoing, just committing to too many things, yet I've been able to accomplish a lot of things. It has really taken a toll on my mental, emotional, and physical health. And I've noted that. But all of those ups and downs, I look back and I was like, looking at all of the change and everything that I've had to push through and overcome, and seeing now, wow, I did that. Look at that. Even though it was really, really hard, look at now this new level of where I'm at, everything that I've accomplished, all of the dreams that I had set out to put together with my framework and how I want to serve others, all at a new level. And that's what I want you to recognize. I have some clients who have been really working through some grief, or working through personal relationships, or working with identity crises, all through our charts. Like, it's amazing to be able to recognize these cycles in our charts. It helps us, like, to deal with them, to affirm them, and to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, because these cycles don't last forever. But all of the challenges and tribulations that you have gone through this year are giving you really insight, saying, hey, celebrate all of the changes that you have created, and be honest with yourself without judgment around the change that is still yet to come. So let's talk about this new moon that is highly activating, highly quantum accelerating, and highly initiating. And, with all of those active words, those energetic words, you know that the key to this taking intention on this new moon is taking action, aligned action. So let's talk about this. Now, if you're looking at this chart here, this new moon happens on November 13th, 2023. That's a Monday, moon day at 1:27 a.m. This chart is cast from San Francisco because that's where I live. So, the houses will be a little bit different depending on where you are located. Now, when you look at this, even if you don't know how to read natal charts, and that's fine, you can see these thick red lines. These are oppositions between the new moon, where the moon and the sun are at the exact same degree of 20 degrees, sitting across the sky from Uranus at 21 degrees, Uranus retrograde. And then also we have Mars cozied up to the new moon just a couple of degrees away. Now, Mars and the sun are pretty much moving at the same pace right now for like another month. And so whatever Mars touches, its archetypal process is to energize, it's to activate, it's to add some heat, add some power. And with Mars being in Scorpio, its ancient home sign, that power is intense. It's almost like adding a drop of Pluto, that kind of like Plutonic energy. Pluto and Mars, both rulers of Scorpio. Now, whatever Mars touches, it is giving it physical, vital energy to move things forward, to initiate. So, this new moon, already an initiation stage, both the starting a new cycle of creation between the sun and the moon, with Mars adding that dose of energize and motivation and activation. And it's also our first new moon after our eclipse cycle. So it's been a couple of months where we were able to really consciously create a new moon intention without just like this wild card. And we still have Uranus involved. So there is still a little bit of disruptive energy. But we can mitigate that disruption with Uranus if, again, we get really, really clear with our intentions. Now, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know that I absolutely love new moon intentions, because new moon intentions allow us to get super, super clear once a month on what we want. Not like the shoulds and the egotistical wants of like society, like a house with a white picket fence and a fancy car and 2.5 kids and the perfect partner and the perfect body and da, 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 da. I'm not talking about those kinds of wants, those superficial wants. No, I'm talking about the deep wants to be recognized, to be sought after for your work, to make beautiful change in this world, to be able to heal others, inspire others, work with others, collaborate, co-create. What are those wants and desires for you? And, knowing by the house that is being activated for you is going to give you some insight as to the Scorpio, the power wants that you want. For me, in the sixth house, power of wellness and eliminating everything that is not needed from my physical vitality. I'm digressing here. But the reason why intentions are so important, especially when we're working with Uranus, is because if Uranus allows us to break through and disrupt old patterns, people are afraid of change, but change is constant. And what if you can make quantum change, meaning not having to go through A, B, and C to get to Z, but instead of just going from A directly to Z, that's the quantum leap. But in order to take that quantum leap, you have to know that you want to go to Z, and you have to know what Z is, because the clearer that you can get in your intention is how we mitigate Uranian kind of energy like this new moon. Because if you don't know what you want, you can't define and clarify what that is. If you can't clarify, define it, and like visualize it, how the heck are you going to ever be able to ask for it and express it? And if you can't say it out loud, if you can't ask for what you want, the universe will not be able to give it to you. So the power of intention isn't just some like manifestation mumbo jumbo. This really, really, really works. Again, big hint for if you want something really big and you just don't know how you're going to get there, you don't have to figure out the hows. The universe will show you the way when it knows what you want. And this is where the power of self-trust and the Scorpio energy, why this is such a new beginning, is so important for you to be able to make the change that you want, to be able to disrupt those old patterns. Okay, because we are building power, we are sharing power, we are putting you in your power. Okay. And so we talked about Mars really activating and adding some heat, some spiciness to this power. It is okay to have power. And if you have a problem with power, right? Like if you're only thinking about the shadows of power, like the people who have too much power or using power in terrible ways of like seizing power or taking power away from others, really come to terms about what it means to build and share power and how it means to be able to step into your power. Take a look at what unattracts you about power and see if you can reframe that for you, because I am talking about pure power, the power that comes from within, that lights you up, that you are born with, that you are here to have. Uranus, on the opposite end of this new moon, A few hours after this new moon, the sun will move to that 21-degree mark, and it's going to be sitting exactly opposite of this Uranus retrograde. Whenever we have an outer planet in opposition to the sun, we know that that planet is in retrograde, and we know that that is the midway point of the retrograde cycle. And so, just like a full moon, where the moon and the sun are sitting across from each other in the sky in opposition, this opposition during the midpoint of this Uranus retrograde is like a full moon between the sun and Uranus. And just like a full moon, the full moon shows us, illuminates, and clarifies so that we can see all the ways that we haven't yet accomplished what we wanted to. With Uranus, it's what we haven't yet changed or revolutionized or awakened or up leveled in ourselves. Just like a full moon, if you have accomplished what you set yourself out to in that lunar cycle, then you celebrate, you thank, you're grateful. And just like with Uranus here, and what we've been talking about, this full circle moment of looking back at everything that has transpired, that you had overcome and excelled at over this hard lift of a year. Celebrate all those changes, recognize all those changes. That is how you start to grow your capacity for gratitude and abundance. And if there are things that you haven't yet changed, it's okay. We're going to look at that without judgment and say, oh, okay, well, I set out to do this, but I didn't quite get there. Do I still want that? And if I do still want that, then what's in my way? What are the blocks that I need to remove? And that gives you so much more depth and clarity of just going for after what you truly want. And it's okay if you don't want the same thing that you did just a little while ago. So, this new moon, my friends, is just absolutely powerful. It is life affirming, life changing, life activating. And I really want you to spend some time to get clear on what you need to trust in yourself and your own power to tap into this next phase and get you ready for 2024. So for now, let's go through some house activations so that you can personalize your new moon. Okay, let's get into the house activation so that you can personalize your new moon ritual. Remember that if you know how to read your natal chart, you want to be looking for 20 degrees of Scorpio. Whichever house contains that 20 degrees of Scorpio is the house that is being activated. And so that activation of that house is giving you a clue as to which area of your life and your business, because you remember those houses represent an area of your life or your work that wants a fresh intention of authentic power, inner trust in your leadership. Okay, so if you are a Aries rising, or maybe have 20 degrees of Scorpio in your eighth house activation, you are planting the seeds of power in your leadership's advocacy for shared power and revealing the truth. If you're Taurus rising or have a seventh house activation, you're building power in your leadership's trusted partnerships with ideal customers and co creators. If you're Gemini rising or have that sixth house activation, like me, in your leadership and work, you are adding powerful operations that eliminate all unnecessary things. Oh my gosh, I'm laughing because I wrote this and I'm like, do I ever need to start eliminating things? And in your personal life, if this is a sixth house, this is definitely something about wellness, like maybe starting on some elimination nutrition or elimination movement. Like, what can you like get rid of to get to your true source of power? If you have a Cancer rising or a fifth house activation, this is for you to plant the seeds in your leadership's capacity to pursue your passion with unwavering determination. If you're a Leo rising or have that fourth house activation, you are cultivating and planting the seeds for in your leadership for powerful private spaces to hold vulnerable and secure information for healing. If you're Virgo rising or have that third house activation, you are adding power to your leadership's unapologetic, noble communications, voice, and messaging. For the Libra risings or that second house activation, you are empowering your values and the results that you want to give your clients based on loyalty and trust. For those Scorpio risings, or if you have a first house activation, you are planting some seeds of power in your most magnetic self brand and powerful leadership initiative. If you're Scorpio rising or have that 12th house activation, you are planting the seeds of power in your ability to reveal the darkest secrets that block your flow. If you're Capricorn rising or 11th house activation, you're planting the seeds of power in your community and network of other truth seekers. If you're Aquarius rising or have a 10th house activation, you are planting the seeds of your powerful reputation and delivery of your knowing truth. And lastly, if you're a Pisces rising or have that 9th house activation, you are here to plant the seeds of power in your intuitive knowledge, purpose, and philosophy. My friends, this is such, I think power is the key word. How many times did I say power in this episode? But it really is about that. You have so much power to make change that you want, to get clear on what you want in self-trust and inner knowing. You, my friend, have so much light. So, final reminder, this is the last podcast before Illuminate that happens on Wednesday, November 15th. So consider this your reminder. If you want to experience a free masterclass where I'm teaching everything that you need to know to connect the dots from your change-making work to your sun, moon, and rising, this is your chance. Free masterclass happens on November 15th at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. To get your free registration and to get a chance at a mini reading during the masterclass, head on over to starpowered.com/illuminate. And yes, there'll be replays available. All right, my friends, have a most beautiful Scorpio new moon and plant your seeds of power. As a human design projector, my energy shines more brightly because of people like you who share my work. If you enjoy this podcast and want to help build a movement of innovative astrology and leadership and spark the intuitive revolution, please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, or better yet, share this podcast with your change-making besties. We will all shine brighter together as we create the future we want to see.